just sharing a little bit of the findings that we find and the reason why we came up with this Projek Lulus SPM. So if you in the beginning during the whole of MCO sebelum sekolah mula, kami adakan sesi perbincangan dengan sekolah, bukan sahaja sekolah dalam tes di bawah Pulau Pinang, kami juga ada mengadakan sesi perbincangan dengan sekolah tes yang terlibat di negeri Perlis, just to understand apa cabaran yang dihadapi oleh sekolah dari segi memulihkan pembelajaran murid. Okay, like how do we recover and accelerate student learning, what is the key challenge the school is facing. So what we found is less than 50% of the students are engaged on online lesson, and this less than 50% is especially true for students in the back classes, and there are many challenges that prevents them from coming online seperti masalah teknologi, masalah data, dan juga of course kerjasama daripada ibu bapa. And then and then when we talk to the school, a lot are worried. So bila sekolah buka nanti, macam mana kita boleh cover balik pembelajaran untuk murid-murid yang tidak mengikuti PDPC sepanjang 3 bulan sekolah ditutup. And then when we also did a bit of research, and not only in Malaysia that schools are worried about, all across the world they are also worried about this group of students who are not engaged online. Sebab kenapa? Sebab mereka menghadapi risiko yang tinggi untuk tercicir dalam pembelajaran. Maksudnya mungkin mereka tidak akan kembali ke sekolah selepas sekolah buka nanti. There is a risk in that. Dan sekiranya mereka kembali ke sekolah berdasarkan beberapa bulan sahaja yang kita ada di sekolah, mungkin mereka tidak dapat menguasai tahap minimum yang mereka perlu pelajari. So these are the concerns that the school is worried about. And also we ask the school, that's why most of the schools would like to focus on teaching and learning. So together with the PPD officers, we analyze this data, and then we actually discuss among ourselves, daripada kumpulan murid yang tidak melibatkan diri dalam PDPC yang mungkin akan ketinggalan, kumpulan murid mana yang sangat penting untuk kita bantu pada masa sekarang. So kami kenal pasti ada 3 kumpulan murid yang memerlukan bantuan, iaitu kumpulan pelajar SPM yang akan menduduki SPM pada tahun ini. Kita ada pelajar lemah, sama ada dia SPM ke tidak SPM ke, yang memang dah lemah dalam PDPC tapi disebabkan penutupan sekolah dia lagi they fall even more behind. And kita juga ada kumpulan murid pelajar B40 yang bukan saja mungkin mereka akan ketinggalan dalam pembelajaran, ada risiko juga mereka tidak akan kembali ke sekolah sebab masalah-masalah keluarga seperti kewangan and all that. But looking at the timeline that we have now, kita dah berada di bulan 7. Kami lihat di 3 kumpulan murid ini. So kami sepakat dengan pegawai PPD untuk memberi bantuan yang khusus kepada sekolah. Kumpulan murid yang kita perlu bantu dahulu buat masa sekarang ialah pelajar SPM, sebab mereka hanya ada beberapa bulan lagi sebelum mereka menduduki peperiksaan di bulan Januari, dan di bulan Januari lah. So that is why we came up with this idea of a project, just very simply called Projek Lulus SPM, which is to help this group of students who are ketinggalan, who memang tercicir, yang berisiko untuk tidak dapat menguasai tahap minima pembelajaran, untuk memulihkan pembelajaran mereka. And our ultimate aim is to meningkatkan kehadiran mereka ke sekolah dan meningkatkan pencapaian mereka khususnya dalam BM dan sejarah, supaya mereka ada peluang untuk memperolehi sijil SPM. At least we can help them to create a better future for themselves. Okay, so how do we propose to do this? Which is through Projek Lulus SPM. It's actually a 3-month project. We wanted to focus straightly on pelajar Galus Cicir Form 5 in the subject of Bahasa Melayu and Sejarah. So what do we mean by pelajar Galus Cicir? All this I will explain in the slides, in the coming slides. And how are we planning to do this? Melalui 3 strategi yang utama, iaitu melibatkan ibu bapa, di mana kita akan merangka bagaimana kita akan melibatkan ibu bapa pelajar Galus Cicir ini, melalui tuition digital dan bimbingan rakan sebaya yang kami akan usahakan bersama sekumpulan sukarelawan yang kami akan kenal pasti, dan juga melalui pemantauan perkembangan secara berterusan. Okay? So like I shared just now, this is a 3-month project, and how are we going to implement this in school? ialah melalui kita punya kerangka PDCA, which is something that we always use in all our test activity. So in 3 months, in the first 2 weeks of the 3 months, is for us to plan together with the school, is for us to have this session with all the school teachers to inform them about this project, work together with the school untuk kenal pasti pelajar Galus Cuci tingkatan 5 yang akan terlibat dalam projek ini, dan kenal pasti student leaders, ya. So student leaders will be involved in this project as well, and I'll explain later what are their roles and responsibility. So actually today our session is also in the plan stage together with you, because we wanted to make sure to get your feedback, to make sure this project has already incorporated all the feedback from school before we roll it out together with all of you. So selepas kita melalui proses plan, kita akan bergerak ke peringkat 2, iaitu kita akan adakan sesi parents engagement, iaitu sesi pelibatan ibu bapa. Kita akan jalankan program tuition digital dan kita akan laksanakan bimbingan rakan sebaya. So what makes this tuition digital special? So tuition digital ini bukan hanya kelas tambahan like the normal kelas tambahan or any enrichment classes that that sometimes we do in school. So this tuition digital is a support support class that we curated specifically for the Form 5 Galus Cuci students that has been identified by the school, and the content is curated specifically to help them to pass BM and sejarah. And the people who will be running this tuition digital are people from the community as well. I will explain to you who are these people later, yeah. So after peringkat 2, we will go to check, where we will look into the students' kehadiran, because remember one of our key aim is also to meningkatkan kehadiran mereka ke sekolah. So from time to time we will pantau their kehadiran. We will pantau the pelibatan of the Galus Cuci students in the aspect of 4.6, okay, SKPMG2 standard 4.6. So do and check we will do together hand in hand in the whole 8 weeks. So it's a 2 months of intervention. And then in the last 2 weeks is for us to see the outcome, whether there is any progress in the students or not, and what are the next steps for us to move forward to prepare the students further for their exam in January. And also this is where we will also have that session together with parents again. Okay, so ini ialah just a snapshot bagaimana program projek ini boleh dilaksanakan dalam 3 bulan menggunakan kerangka PDCA. So sekiranya tuan-tuan dan puan-puan ada apa-apa soalan, cadangan, all this all, feel free to use the chat function, ya. Okay, so seterusnya saya akan kongsikan sedikit tentang kumpulan pelajar yang akan terlibat, yang kami ingin libatkan dalam projek Lulus SPM ini. So 2 kumpulan pelajar akan terlibat. Kumpulan pelajar yang paling penting sekali ialah kumpulan pelajar Galus Cuci, di mana tanggungjawab mereka, pelajar yang kita pilih ini, kita akan communicate to them that tanggungjawab utama mereka of course is to hadir ke sekolah, menghadirkan diri ke tuition digital dan sesi-sesi bimbingan rakan sebaya yang akan dilaksanakan oleh kumpulan student leaders, dan mereka juga bertanggungjawab untuk melengkapkan segala tugasan yang diberikan semasa sesi bimbingan ataupun sesi tuition digital. Dan apakah syarat utama sekiranya a guiding principle for schools to identify ialah of course pelajar tingkatan 5 yang akan menduduki peperiksaan SPM, dan pelajar-pelajar ini mempunyai kehadiran yang tidak merangsangkan semasa sekolah ditutup dan selepas sekolah dibuka. So for example, maybe this murid yang kita kenal pasti ini semasa PDPC dalam talian mereka jarang melibatkan diri, sangat-sangat sedikit, dan apabila sekolah dibuka kehadiran mereka pun tidak memuaskan. Okay, and then of course dari segi pencapaian akademik mereka perlu mendapat markah borderline lah di antara Galus, di antara gagal dan lulus. So maybe they just need a little bit more push for them to actually be secure in obtaining that passing mark. So this is the type of students that we're targeting to help in this project. And what are the type of students that we will put in to help us in supporting this student, okay, yang kumpulan student leader. So kumpulan student leader yang dipilih ini, tanggungjawab mereka ialah hadir ke sesi latihan student leader. Sesi latihan student leader tak banyak dan sangat sedikit, it's just maximum half an hour yang boleh dilaksanakan pada bila-bila masa di sekolah. Kami akan bekerjasama dengan teacher leaders yang sekolah kenal pasti untuk melatih kumpulan student leaders ini, dan mereka juga perlu hadir ke tuition digital supaya mereka tahu apa yang pelajar apa yang rakan mereka dah pelajari lah, so that they can guide them better. And these student leaders punya responsibility, the key responsibility is to bimbing pelajar galus cicir through sesi bimbingan rakan sebaya, so that they can understand the content of the tuition digital and also they are able to melengkapkan tugasan. So by having these student leaders with us, it's like a win-win situation, because student leaders at the same time, they can enhance their knowledge by coaching other students. As they say, the best way to learn is by teaching others. So when they are able to coach their friends, that is where mereka punya penguasaan kandungan ataupun pembelajaran pun makin meningkat. And at the same time, we are also developing the leadership skills to work together with their friends, to guide their friends to achieve the common goal of doing well in SPM. So, murid apa, pelajar jenis apa yang kita ingin cari sebagai student leader ini ialah sekiranya untuk panduan sekolah. Of course, dari segi kehadiran, mereka perlulah mempunyai kehadiran yang sangat memberangsangkan semasa PDPC dan juga selepas sekolah dibuka sekarang lah. Okay, so because in a way it shows that their commitment to their learning. And then dari segi markah, mereka perlu mendapat markah yang baik dari dalam mata pelajaran BM atau sejarah, dan yang paling penting sekali mereka mampu dan mahu membimbing rakan mereka. So willingness is very important. So bayangkan sekiranya kita ada dua kumpulan, nisbah yang kita cadangkan ialah one-on-one. Of course, this is the ideal situation. So contohnya, kalau sekolah boleh mencari telah kenal pasti 10 murid ataupun pelajar galus cicir, then we suggest for the schools to identify 10 student leaders so that they can provide one-on-one support to the Form 5 students that need help as well. Tapi sekiranya memang kumpulan student leaders yang sesuai tidak mencukupi, then we can look into small groups. Mungkin seorang student leader yang akan membimbing 2 ataupun maksimum 3 orang murid pelajar tingkatan 5 yang galus atau cicir lah. And then if you're asking sama ada kumpulan student leaders ini perlu ke dia daripada tingkatan 5, so it is not necessary, they do not have to really be from Form 5, sebab yang penting mereka boleh membimbing. SPM, it covers topic from Form 4 and Form 5 as well. If let's say you have Form 4 students who you think can help the Form 5 students, then they are encouraged to be the student leaders as well. Or for schools who maybe have Form 6 students, you can also consider involving them as well to help these students to pass. It's more on creating an environment where students are supporting each other in their academic learning. Okay? So ini ialah kumpulan murid yang akan terlibat dalam Projek Lulus SPM ini. So seterusnya saya akan berkongsi macam mana kita nak melaksanakan 2 strategi utama, iaitu penglibatan ibu bapa dan tuition digital serta bimbingan rakan sebaya yang saya telah cakap sedikit sebanyak tadi. So dari segi pelan pelaksanaan pelibatan ibu bapa, the main objective is of course to mewujudkan kesedaran, to create an awareness for these parents on the importance of obtaining SPM certificate, how it will help their students and how their involvement will really be important in this project. Memperolehi sokongan daripada para ibu bapa untuk membenarkan pelajar galus cicir yang dikenal pasti ini untuk mengikuti projek ini dan juga memastikan kehadiran dan juga menetapkan maklumat bersama. So contohnya maybe in the first session that we have with the parents is for us to agree with them to make sure that they are able to ensure the attendance of their anak in the 3 months the project is ongoing. Okay, so how will this parents engagement be done? It is actually a sesi perjumpaan bersemuka. This is our suggestion. Of course, if the school has any other way on doing this, feel free to also share in the chat or later in the feedback form. So this one will be done secara sesi perjumpaan bersemuka dalam kumpulan kecil. It will be in small groups dengan ibu bapa atau penjaga pelajar galus cicir yang kita sudah kenal pasti. So if we have identified 10 students, so we'll invite these 10 students punya parents or penjaga to come for a session with us. So how will this be done? We will be planning this session together with school, because at the end of the day, we understand that school will understand the demographic and the needs the parents better compared to us. So but then we will be coming up with the pengisian of the session. So imagine if in 3 months time kita adakan 2 sesi. So seminggu sebelum sesi tersebut, kita akan berjumpa dengan kaunselor sekolah, teacher leaders yang dikenal pasti bersama dengan pegawai. Kita adakan satu sesi di mana kita berbincang apa yang akan dilaksanakan semasa sesi perjumpaan dengan ibu bapa. Okay, so once perancangan sudah set, kita boleh jalan dan kita akan melaksanakan 2 sesi dalam 3 bulan. So sesi pertama ialah sebelum kita memulakan apa-apa intervensi, iaitu kita akan berjumpa dengan para ibu bapa untuk mencapai 3 objektif inilah, iaitu meningkatkan kesedaran, memperoleh sokongan dan persetujuan untuk bekerjasama. Dan sesi yang kedua ialah pada akhir 3 bulan di mana kita akan berkongsi dengan mereka apa hasil daripada pelaksanaan dan apa langkah seterusnya yang kita boleh bekerja bersama-sama untuk memastikan pelajar are all ready for their exam in January. Dan sesi perjumpaan dengan ibu bapa ini akan dihadiri oleh all these people lah, ibu bapa penjaga, of course pelajar yang kita kenal pasti dia akan hadir juga, dan daripada sekolah ialah barisan pentadbir, wakil counselor, teacher leaders, evaluation and pegawai will be there to bagi sokongan as well. So I included, sekiranya tuan-tuan dan puan-puan nampak dekat atas sini, saya ada bagi cadangan minggu. This is just cadangan saja. So in the span of 3 months, week 1 will be for us to plan the sesi with ibu bapa, and then the second week will be for us to do the first sesi. Dan sebelum program berakhir, minggu 11 ialah untuk kita merancang dan minggu 12 ialah untuk kita melaksana. So this is how it is. So we would like to let the school know that we are all in this together. We will work with the school to plan out the session in school, but of course we will need the school cooperation to organize it and also to help us contact the parents as well. Okay? So ini ialah bagaimana pelaksanaan parents engagement will be carried out. I will now share about the main intervention of the star of Projek Lulus SPM, which is the academic intervention that we'll be doing through pelaksanaan tuition digital dan bimbingan rakan sebaya. So our key objective is very simple. It's just to meningkatkan prestasi of the Galus teacher from 5 students in BM and sejarah so that they have the opportunity to layak dapat sijil. Okay, so how will this be carried out step by step together with school? Imagine in 3 months, okay, so the first 2 weeks will be for us to work together with schools to pilih the pelajar that will be they will be part of this program. So two category of students that need to be selected, which is the pelajar Galus teacher from 5 in BM and sejarah, and also the student leaders. And also this is for us to work together with the schools to obtain the TOV. So the TOV can be from the latest peperiksaan. If your PAT 2019 ialah markah terkini, then we can use that marks as our TOV, because based on this TOV we will work together to identify pengisian tuition digital yang boleh diberikan kepada pelajar-pelajar ini. Alright, so selepas kita dah buat sesi pemilihan dan penetapan TOV, kita akan mula melaksana, iaitu bermula minggu 3 hingga 10, iaitu sebanyak 8 minggu kita akan melaksanakan tuition digital sekali seminggu. So dia akan dijalankan secara dalam talian sebab we understand that schools and also based on the SOP, we are trying to limit outsiders in school. So we also do not want to memastikan ada what you call it, berkumpulan beramai-ramai lah. And also because the volunteers, the teachers of this tuition digital are from all over Malaysia, so it will be done online. So dijalankan secara dalam talian oleh Evolution Enterprise dan sukarelawan yang terpilih dalam kalangan pelajar universiti, guru-guru yang telah bersara dan orang awam. So to also, and then dia akan dihadiri oleh pelajar-pelajar Galus teacher tingkatan 5. So to make sure that quality tuition digital terjamin, because we know that we are having teaching volunteer here, we will also be providing training to the volunteers. We'll be guiding them to create and curate the content of the tuition digital, so that and then before we roll it out to the students in the school. Okay, so imagine 8 weeks of this once a week. Evolution together with a volunteer will be conducting this tuition digital for the students in BM and sejarah, and following that, for the rest of the week, the students will be undergoing enhancement or enrichment coaching by the student leaders. So we will have bimbingan rakan sebaya sekali seminggu by the student leaders. It can be in small groups ataupun kalau boleh kita ikut nisbah one-on-one, dan di sinilah dia akan diselia oleh teacher leaders. So kalau tuan-tuan dan puan-puan lihat di sini, saya ada bagi cadangan hari. Ini hanya untuk kita bayangkan bagaimana ini boleh dilaksanakan di sekolah. So bayangkan dalam 1 minggu, hari Isnin kita akan laksanakan tuition digital dan sepanjang Selasa dan Jumaat teacher leaders dengan student leaders yang terpilih akan memilih 1 hari untuk memberi bimbingan kepada pelajar tingkatan 5 sebelum mereka menghadiri tuition digital yang seterusnya pada minggu depan. So this is how it looks like in a span of 1 week. So after 8 weeks of tuition digital dan bimbingan rakan sebaya, kita akan pergi ke pemantauan. Okay, before I forget, so we will also have training. So kita akan laksanakan sesi latihan dalam talian untuk teacher leaders sebulan sekali sahaja, dan selepas itu teacher leaders boleh memberi latihan yang sama kepada student leaders on how they can conduct this bimbingan rakan sebaya. So we were just discussing about the content of the training early today morning. So we want to make sure latihan yang diberikan padat, simple dan mudah untuk teacher leader laksanakan kepada student leaders dan seterusnya kepada semasa bimbingan rakan sebaya jugalah. Alright. So selepas kita laksanakan intervensi pendidikan akademik ini, kita akan pergi ke penilaian. Of course, we will have progress tracking every week, but the main penilaian will happen in the last 2 weeks, di mana kita akan adakan satu ujian penilaian untuk pelajar Galus Cicir untuk lihat ada tak perkembangan dan kenal pasti sekiranya kita perlukan lagi bimbingan ataupun tuition digital untuk bulan yang seterusnya, apa fokus dia. Dan penilaian ini kita akan kenal pasti bersama ketua panitia lah di sekolah masing-masing supaya kita nak pastikan apa yang kita laksanakan ialah selari dengan apa yang sekolah rancang. So before I continue to the next slide, we are actually halfway through. Di sini saya nak tanya sedikit pendapat tuan-tuan dan puan-puan. We understand that the logistics of doing this always permulaan semasa perancangan is always a little bit tricky sebab kita kena pastikan masa yang ditetapkan ada sesuai, hari yang ditetapkan adalah sesuai, sekolah ada capacity untuk melaksanakan projek ini. So sebelum saya bergerak ke slide seterusnya, saya ingin tanya tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, boleh tak tuan-tuan dan puan-puan cadangkan di bahagian chat apakah hari dan masa yang sesuai untuk kita laksanakan tuition digital ini, because we would like for the students to attend the session live as much as possible. Maksudnya kalau boleh mungkin kami harap semasa sesi tuition digital dijalankan ada interaksi antara cikgu yang mengajar, sukarelawan yang mengajar dan juga student leaders yang pelajar Galus Cicir yang menghadiri. So what will be a good time for us to do this so that they can attend and have an interactive session together. So please write it in the chat section, any response that you give, then we will incorporate this in finalizing our project Projek Lulus SPM later. Okay, so Mr. Murugan shared here untuk student leaders yang memberikan bimbingan, adakah mereka juga perlu menghadiri tuition digital bersama pelajar Galus? Yes, so they will need to attend 1 hour together with the pelajar Galus Cicir also, so that they can know what has been taught during that tuition digital, and then they can give the relevant coaching in their one-on-one session with the students. Okay, Mr. Murugan? Okay, so for the rest of the principle of PKGK that we have here, please just write in the chat on when you think what will be the right day and the right time to do the tuition digital on a weekly basis. For any questions that you have, please put it in the chat section as well. Okay, so this is where kita just share a little bit sekiranya kita laksanakan projek ini di sekolah, dia akan melibatkan usaha sama 3 pihak. So that is the reason why we have this session with you today, because this project is a co-creation. We wanted to make sure we take into account school's feedback and everybody has an ownership in this project that we're running. So in terms of evaluation enterprise, what we'll be doing to support this program, we will be collecting volunteers, teaching volunteers, and then we will be training them to carry out the tuition digital. So that is in terms of the volunteers. In terms of the training that we'll be giving to school, we will be training the counselor and the teacher leaders on how they can do the parents engagement session. We will be planning with them as well. And then kita juga akan melatih teacher leaders untuk bagaimana mereka boleh melatih student leaders menjalankan sesi bimbingan rakan sebaya. Dan kalau contohnya kalau tuition digital perlukan apa-apa bahan, apa-apa lembaran kerja, pihak kami juga akan menyediakan dan mengagikan kepada sekolah, dan kami juga bertanggungjawab untuk memastikan tuition digital disampaikan kepada sekolah on a weekly basis lah, okay? Berdasarkan masa dan hari yang kita sudah kenal pasti bersama. Okay, dari segi pegawai PPD, ini apa yang kita akan bekerjasama dengan mereka. Mereka juga akan bantu kami untuk melatih teacher leaders dan counselor, dan modul-modul yang kami akan laksanakan semasa tuition digital dan bimbingan rakan sebaya, kami juga akan dapatkan pandangan ataupun persetujuan daripada pihak PPD dahulu, dan juga mereka juga akan membantu menyokong pelaksanaan projek ini, dan dari semasa ke semasa mereka mungkin akan turun ke sekolah untuk melihat bagaimana projek ini boleh ditambah baik untuk minggu yang seterusnya. Alright. So in terms for pihak sekolah, this is what we need, we need to get the cooperation from school. Kerjasama yang kita perlukan daripada pihak sekolah ialah membantu kami mengatur dan mengadakan sesi pelibatan. So kami hanya boleh melatih counselor dan teacher leaders bagaimana mengadakan sesi tersebut, tapi untuk melaksanakan dan menjayakan sesi tersebut, kami amat memerlukan kerjasama dan komitmen daripada pihak pihak sekolah lah, because you will have the direct contact to the parents compared to us, ya. Dan dari segi selain ibu bapa, dari segi pelajar yang terlibat, kami memerlukan kerjasama daripada sekolah untuk membantu mengurus pelajar ini, because we are not able to go into school to look at them. So teachers are the ones who have the direct contact. So what do we mean by membantu mengurus pelajar? There are 5 things that we're looking at. The first one is mengenal pasti the students, okay, pelajar yang akan terlibat, the 2 categories of students. Yang kedua ialah membantu memadankan pelajar kepada, contohnya if you have 10 student leaders and 10 pelajar galus teacher, is to pair them together so that there's a buddy groups or buddy system that is available. Yang ketiga ialah membantu memastikan kehadiran mereka, mengambil kehadiran, memantau kehadiran murid-murid yang terlibat, memantau penyampaian bimbingan rakan sebaya yang dijalankan oleh student leaders, dan juga from time to time help us to see the progress of the students who are involved and feedback to us whether they are progressing or something that maybe there's something that we need to do together to help them more. Okay? Okey, ini ialah satu cadangan bagaimana pelaksanaan boleh dilaksanakan di peringkat sekolah. This is just an example to give you a clearer idea bagaimana kita boleh mengagikan responsibility supaya semua pihak terlibat bersama-sama menjayakan dan membantu murid-murid yang kita kenal pasti to pass their SPM. So for example, if the school would like to park this under the PK1 punya responsibility, penolong kanan pentadbiran yang kami cadangkan ialah she will head the project in overall, di mana dia akan mengurus, menilai dan memantau the pelaksanaan projek bersama evolution dan pegawai PPD. So maksudnya maybe from time to time, kalau sekiranya kami perlukan sedikit maklum balas from school tentang pelaksanaan tuition digital, pelaksanaan bimbingan rakan sebaya ataupun perkembangan murid, kami akan menghubungi PK1. Okay, dan siapa yang akan membantu melaksanakan ini on the ground will be, this is what we suggest, ketua panitia BM dan sejarah, di mana mereka akan bantu untuk mengenal pasti pelajar galus cicir, mengenal pasti TOV mereka, membantu kami untuk mengenal pasti kandungan tuition digital yang sesuai untuk dilaksanakan, yang akan membantu mempercepatkan pembelajaran murid, and then of course membantu kami mengenal pasti penilaian yang kita boleh gunakan untuk menilai progres pelajar pada akhir 3 bulan. So this is the input we need to get, because for us, ketua panitia is the subject matter expert that we really need to get their input to make sure apa yang kami rancang ini dia selari dengan keperluan SPM dan juga sekolah lah. Dan dari segi teacher leaders, so sama ada teacher leaders itu option BM ataupun sejarah, or they are not option BM or sejarah, they can still support in terms of they can help to mengenal pasti student leaders. Kami ada sediakan satu borang simple untuk kenal pasti student leaders, which we believe that any teacher leaders can do regardless of what their option is. They can help membantu melatih the student leaders, sebab pelatihan yang mereka akan bagi kepada student leaders tidak bertumpu kepada subjek BM ataupun sejarah. It's more like cara kita nak membimbing rakan kita. Okay, and then membantu memastikan kehadiran pelajar dan memantau pelaksanaan. So contohnya Puan Nur Afiza, you ask bagaimana jika TL bukan option BM and sejarah? Yes, even though if they're not option BM and sejarah, they can be involved in helping the schools to train the student leaders and also to help pantau as well, because they will not be the one delivering the tuition digital or bimbingan rakan sebaya in BM or sejarah lah. Okay, so in terms of the counsellor, one thing that we suggest the counsellor can do is to take charge of the parents engagement session. So bila kami adakan sesi latihan, sesi perbincangan untuk merancang sesi bersama ibu bapa, kaunselor boleh hadir berancang bersama kami dan dia boleh balik dan berbincang dengan pihak sekolah macam mana nak melaksanakan apa yang kami sampaikan di peringkat sekolah. Okay, so this is roughly just a suggestion of bagaimana projek ini dilaksanakan, bagaimana kita boleh melibatkan pihak yang pelbagai dalam pelaksanaan projek ini. Okay, so sebelum saya bergerak ke slide yang seterusnya, just a little bit for Puan Rohaiza, bagaimana bentuk bimbingan yang perlu dilaksanakan kerana murid perlu mengamalkan social distancing. So that's kalau tak silap Puan Rohaiza, are you asking about the bimbingan rakan sebaya? If it is bimbingan rakan sebaya, they can still learn as long as they keep the distance. That's why we suggest a nisbah of 1-on-1. So satu murid, coach and one student, and you can still keep the distance even though they're seated following the SOP lah. Okay. Mr. Murugan is asking, is there a maximum number of students allowed for each school? There are no maximum number of students allowed, but you'll have to make sure the students that you select for Galus future students and the students you select for student leaders, they match. For example, if you only have 5 student leaders, then it will not be advisable to, let's say, have 20 or more than 20 student Galus teacher students, because this will mean that one student leader will coach a larger group of students, and then this will cause the bimbingan rakan sebaya to be less of a one-on-one support for the Galus teacher students lah. Okay, Mr. Murugan, as long as we try to keep to the nisbah on 1-on-1 or maximum 1 student leader to 3 Galus teacher students. Okay, alright, so I will move on to the next slide, which is actually we are coming to the end already. So maybe selepas saya dah run through everything dan sekiranya kita ada masa, kita akan go through some of the Q&A also ya. Okay, so tindakan seterusnya selepas hari ini ialah kami sangat-sangat perlukan maklum balas daripada pihak pengetua. So if you see item number 1 is beri maklum balas tentang Projek Lulus SPM. So we have already created a feedback form to obtain your feedback for us to give you your pandangan. We will really need your feedback by 24th of July because so that we can see how we can improve the project better, and we are also going to present this to Tuan Said. And then together with so that we can incorporate a feedback and present what the school has suggested to the pihak pengurusan PPD lah. And of course, after you fill in the feedback form, based on your feedback form, I will call you. We can have a call or a Google Meet one-on-one just for me to understand your feedback better and understand any questions or concerns that you may have that we cannot address in the feedback form. Okay, and then what we will be doing, so number 2, number 3, number 4 is what our Evolution Enterprise and PPD will be doing together. The second one is for us to train the counsellors and the teacher leaders, selected teacher leaders. Maybe you can identify who are the teacher leaders who can help you in this, to adakan sesi pelibatan ibu bapa. So this is not the session with the parents, this is more like a session, an online session together with the counsellors and the teacher leaders who are involved, to go through with them on what the session will look like, and then they can go back to school to plan further. And then the third one will be for us to kenal pasti the isi kandungan tuition digital. So we would like to meet with the Ketua Panitia Bahasa Melayu dan Sejarah to get their feedback on what we need to cover in the tuition digital that will really help the students. And then of course the fourth one is to gather and train the volunteers that will be conducting the tuition digital. So I will be sharing you a little bit update on the number of volunteers that we have gotten so far later. So for number 5, number 6, this is kerjasama that we need for the school. So we would like, it will be good for the school to actually be informed that this project is ongoing so that everybody can see how they can support, not so that it's not only the pengetua, PK or GK that's doing it, but it's a whole school project together to help the students. And of course, the second thing that we suggest for the school to do is to ease the implementation is to form a jawatan kuasa or identify who will be helping you to implement and execute this project on the ground. Something that similar to a jawatan kuasa that we presented just now. And then the last one is to select students. This is very important. We need to know how many students are there from each school, how many student leaders, and how many Galus teacher students, so that we can arrange the logistics side. How we can inform the teaching volunteers who will be teaching online. So 3 things is to pilih the pelajar of the Galus teacher students, pilih the student leaders, and padankan the students to each other. So who will coach who? So these are some of the things that we would like for the schools to help us so that we can kickstart this. We actually aim to start Fusion Digital for the Form 5 students that are identified by mid of August. So in this, from now until mid of August, it's more like a planning stage for us to get all the back-end processes, administrative tasks ready. Then we can start straight away. Okay. Okay, so before I continue, we will be sharing the same project. So tomorrow we have a session with the teacher leaders. Also the last session for July. So kita akan adakan satu sesi bersama teacher leaders dan juga kami ingin jemput ketua panitia BMs dan sejarah untuk bersama-sama mengikuti sesi ini, di mana kita juga akan present this Projek Lulus SPM today, like that I presented to you today. Dan kita juga akan dapatkan pendapat daripada mereka, apakah peranan teacher leader, bagaimana teacher leader boleh membantu, dan dari ketua panitia BN dan sejarah, apa lagi yang mereka boleh laksanakan, dan apa bentuk pengisian tuition digital yang kita boleh laksanakan. Okay, so I would like to get the school cooperation to ensure that as many of your teacher leaders and especially the captive Bahasa Melayu and Sejarah can attend tomorrow's session. Okay, so this is something that we have already started doing. We have started gathering volunteers. So far we have 30 volunteers all across Malaysia, and most of the volunteers have teaching experience, and quite a number of them have knowledge of the SPM format papers and also the content of BM and Sejarah as well. So we are still collecting volunteers. So after today's session, I can share this. Yes, Mr. Murugan, we will provide you with the information of the volunteers as well. So once we have finalized, selected, and the volunteers, these are the final list of volunteers. We will be sharing with you who are these people who will be helping the school as well. Okay, I will also be sharing this poster with you in case you know of anybody who can be volunteers. We are also opening it to retired teachers who used to teach BM and Sejarah, maybe SPM markers who are retired or who have some time to spare. We will also welcome them so that we can curate the content together. Okay, so this is an example of the Borang Pemilihan Pelajar Galus Teacher. It's a very simple form. So if you can see here, this is the Excel sheet. There are 2 tabs here. First one will be for the Pelajar Galus Teacher, and the second one will be for the student leaders. All we need from the school is the nama pelajar, markah peperiksaan for Bahasa Melayu dan Sejarah, dan kami perlukan kehadiran mereka. This is more like a TOV for us also in terms of their attendance. Kehadiran sebelum sekolah ditutup, semasa sekolah ditutup, dan selepas pembukaan sekolah pada masa sekarang. Dan sekiranya boleh, kami harap sekolah boleh berikan sebab. So di sini kita sudah berikan 5 sebab. We just select apakah sebab utama ketidakhadiran mereka. Supaya, for example, if I know that they are facing masalah keluarga, so maybe it's something that we can tackle during the parents engagement session. Tapi kalau dia mempunyai masalah literasi ke, kesihatan, or emosi, or if it's emosi, it's something that we can work with together with the school counsellor to see, besides academic, what else we can help this group of students. Okay, dan kita juga ada borang dan proses pemilihan student leaders, di mana proses pemilihan student leaders is a little bit more extra step compared to pemilihan Galus teacher. So the first thing first, the school we need to do is to kenal pasti the student leaders. That's very important, and also to inform them, because remember, yang paling penting is their willingness to help their friends. So selepas kita maklumkan student leaders, di sinilah contohnya kalau teacher leader, contohnya saya seorang teacher leader, saya dipertanggungjawabkan untuk memilih student leader. So once saya sudah kenal pasti student leaders, I will sit down together with the student leaders and go through this simple form with them. Di mana bahagian atas kami ada jelaskan mengapa mereka dipilih sebagai student leaders dan apa tanggungjawab mereka. So selepas student leaders dah they are willing, they memberikan persetujuan, this is where mereka isi bahagian persetujuan di mana mereka nyatakan mereka boleh memberi bimbingan, mereka boleh meluangkan masa untuk menghadiri tuition digital dan sejam seminggu untuk membimbing kawan mereka. Okay, so once this borang has been completed, then that's where the teacher leader yang bertanggungjawab, dia akan mengisi the second tab of the Excel sheet that we've given, di mana all she needs to do is list down nama pelajar yang sudah bersetuju, okay, dan hanya jawab ya atau tidak kepada soalan-soalan yang ditanya. Soalan yang kita tanya ialah adakah guru sudah memaklumkan pelajar tentang pelantikan sebagai student leader. Another example is adakah pelajar mampu meluangkan masa untuk menghadiri untuk memberi bimbingan rakan sebaya. So she just need to answer yes or no. Okay, dan what do the school need to do with the borang persetujuan? The borang persetujuan is solely for the school keepsake. Ini hanya untuk simpanan dan rujukan sekolah. Apa yang kami perlukan ialah satu dokumen ini di mana kami ada senarai pelajar Galus teacher dan ada senarai pelajar student leaders yang dikenal pasti. So if it's possible, we will need these names by the 27th of July, if it is possible, 1 week from now, and you can send it back to me through Telegram. This is I will be sending you this document, and all school need to do is just rename to, for example, the nama sekolah change to MBS, Westlands, Jelutung, and so on. Alright. Okay, so we're coming towards the end already. We have 15 more minutes, whereby I will just look through quickly on the chat if there's any questions. But before we end today, what we need from you, from the school, is to isi this borang maklum balas. All we need is one submission from one school only. So that's why if you can see on the screen, borang ini hendaklah diisi sekali sahaja oleh setiap sekolah test. Pengetua atau penolong kanan pentadbiran adalah dicadangkan, because we understand some pengetua might be on MC, and some pengetua have also informed us that they are giving, they are passing the responsibility to the PK1. So what you need to do as a pengetua of PK1 is you can actually go back, have a discussion with all your PK if you think it's necessary, with your GK yang terlibat or even your KP. Look into the slides and then submit one feedback form that to share with us what are your thoughts on regarding this project. Okay, so basically that is the end of the session.